Firms that do it are thinking long-term. They're thinking lifetime value. They're thinking client referrals. I live in Louisiana. Louisiana, the minimum policy limit is $15,000. That's a very
I was
small.
about to say the 10,000. Yeah,
that's a very small case. But if you're a law firm thinking about the future, you're taking that case every time and working it and doing the best damn job that you can do. Cassidy Lewis, thanks for joining the Law Firm Brand Builders podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, here's what I love about your story. You got your current job through a referral. You interviewed at a law firm, didn't get it. A year later, that same firm, because they were impressed with you, sent you to Cooper Hurley, which I assume they're friendly. And now you built a career turning referrals into systems. I know you talk a lot about that on LinkedIn and at conferences. So what do you understand about law firm referrals that the rest of the industry keeps getting wrong?
You came out with a banger. Introduce something else. Okay. The thing that I think I understand about referral marketing that sometimes can be missed, people think that it's inconsistent. People assume that if I really try to go out and build out all these referrals, 1 month it'll be 20 and the next month it'll be 0. And 1 month it'll be, they think it yo-yos. And I haven't found that to be true. It's not as, it's much more dependable than people think that it is.
Gotcha. Do you think they think it yo-yos just because they don't understand how to properly implement it and kind of see forward those relationships regularly?
Yes. I think it comes from two things. I think that consistency in any channel requires consistency from the brand, right? And so we get it with TV, we get it with billboards, right? Oh, you got to be consistent, but you have to apply that to humans also. And then I think there's a lack of systems, which is actually a part of the consistency, but is important enough to talk about by itself. You have to have a system, in part because relationship building, referral marketing is burdensome. And if you don't have a system to support you, you're going to fail. It's going to. I don't care how much of an extrovert you are. None of that matters. If you don't have a follow-up system, if you don't have a system for when somebody stops referring, if you don't have a system for when somebody is referring a lot, you have to have a system for all of it.
So if you're looking to build a referral partner that you got a warm connection to at this point, but maybe they haven't sent you anything, what practices and systems are you putting in place to try to make that a regular referral? Okay.
Now there's two types that I love. Are we talking client referrals, like former client referrals? Or are we talking attorney referrals?
I'm talking attorney or business referrals right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we'll segue a little bit into the client referrals.
Okay. So if I am talking about a system for attorney referrals, one of the things that we've done at Cooper Hurley Injury Lawyers is what we call Next 4, right? And so I'm a numbers dork. I'm a data dork. And I know that numbers should help us make decisions. So we will look at a list of attorneys that used to refer us or that have the capability to refer. So maybe they just open up their own shop, or maybe they really do family law and they might get some injury calls and they don't really do that. They need to send it to us. So I send around a list to attorneys and I tell them to highlight 4 attorneys. Okay. These 4 attorneys will be the attorneys that, I'm trying to not say the word attorney so much, that attorney, our internal attorney, will reach out to throughout the year, right? So today you're an attorney, you have these 4 attorneys, these 4 external attorneys that you keep up with throughout the year. And I tried to make it as easy as possible. So Q1, hey, Al, you reach out. I don't care if it's lunch. I don't care if it's a text message. Right? It can be anything in between. You reach out. Okay. The marketing department does something. So we've done March Madness gifts. So we'll find their Next 4's undergrad school and send them a glass or something and say, hey, happy March Madness. Q3, you reach out again. Q4, maybe we have a minor league hockey team. We send out an email and say, hey, look, would love to meet you at an Admirals game, or whatever it is. Whatever happens, it's all set up the December before the next year. so that there is something in place. And then when they do refer, right, whether it's an intake or a case, that's another thing. People get so hung up on the case will come.
Mhm.
You have to teach them how to refer to you. But when they start sending in intakes or cases, there's a system for that. There's a gifting system for that. There's a system for how often we keep in touch with them. All of those pieces, because people think of the system as just like, oh yeah, I have to meet you and then you got to send me a case and I'm gonna say thank you. No, you have to treat them almost like a part of the client, right? Are you keeping them updated with what's taking place in the case? Are you calling them every now and again and say, hey man, look, we're going to go ahead and take this thing to trial. This is why. They're vested, right? They're invested. So I think I talked a lot there.
So the attorneys are a part of the process, which I love. That when I was in house, I deliberately made them part of the reviews process because there was more. We had a bunch of attorneys, and they can do more. When you put more people on it, they could do a half-assed job at it and still do better than one person trying to do it nonstop all the time. At least that was my theory with it. Do the attorneys get any type of incentives from if the referrals are coming from the people that they are most often in contact with?
No.
Okay.
I mean, that gets into how your attorneys are paid, right? Because a lot of times, if again, Al is the attorney, I'm the attorney friend, and I refer the case, Al, you may want to work the case.
Yeah.
You may decide, hey, I'm going to go ahead and work the case. And what we know to be true at Cooper Hurley Injury Lawyers, attorney referred cases are bigger cases, right? So yes, in a sense, but no,
And
it's part of their job.
Yeah, and why do you feel or why do you think the attorney referrals are the better cases?
The data. So there's a lot of conversation about, because people are now comparing digital cases to attorney referred cases, right? Your cost per case for a human will always cost less than digital, TV, billboard, or whatever. So now I'm hearing people say, agencies, don't you say that? You don't say this. Agencies say, well, you got to pay you have to fee share. And it's a good point until the data shows. When I looked at our top 20 cases for 2025, 10 of them came from attorneys. With the fee, without the fee share, they still would have been top 20 cases.
Yeah.
You think I'm going to not accept a $12 million case because it didn't come from Billboard or I have to fee share?
Oh, absolutely. And there's firms out there that will also further along in those big cases deliberately work with external partners who have been doing this for 30 years and some of the most respected people in the industry, because they know if I bring this person on, yeah, they're getting a fee split and they're getting a lot of it, but I'd rather have their intellect in there and just sometimes the safety net, right? Maybe it didn't lead to a much bigger case value, but you're more confident that you got the case value that you were going to get, even if you had to work with someone who isn't necessarily in your firm, because you have, the attorneys out there, they have these long-term trusted relationships with other top litigators in the state and in their markets that they've known for 30 years, that they went to law school with, right? And that they've been in the courtroom with. So I look at it in a similar manner to that, where I said, well, if I'm going to pay a premium to make sure that I get as much out of the case on the back end by bringing on some co-counsel, I'll certainly do it up front, especially if I know that those cases are going to be more valuable because the people sending them to me are vetting them way better. They understand what we're more likely to take. And that's what I kind of understand from the attorney referrals and the client referral side is the cases typically are better because they're sending you people that they're vetting through the process, whether it's because the client's been through the system and they understand what makes a case, or, the attorney is an attorney. They should probably have a pretty good idea.
Right. And now I'm interested. Did you have a formal attorney referral marketing program when you were?
So I did not run like an official one. We had attorney referral partners. It lived a little bit more in intakes and ops than it did in marketing. I was more on the kind of direct marketing side, the brand marketing, the direct response marketing, but it was always a big part of it, because I think people forget that even the referrals are tied into it all, because the more your name's out there, the more likely people are going to refer cases over to you. The more likely you probably are a larger firm, have more attorneys, have more employees that have more contacts at other law firms across your markets, because they worked there before, right? And you're creating these relationships just by your growth. And that was a big part of it. We did a lot of client referral marketing. But we didn't do a ton, or like my team specifically didn't focus too much on the professional referrals. We did make quotas for it, but that person that was in charge of it consulted with the attorneys in intake more to try to get those numbers up, rather than the marketing department doing anything really deliberately.
Okay.
Yeah. What are $1 million relationships?
Those attorney referrals. Yeah, that was the name of my presentation at PILMA this year. $1 million relationships, building an attorney referral marketing program. I'm sorry, system. And I went through Next4. I went through, I think, just about everything that we do to make sure that we have a system in place where we're connecting with attorneys. I talked about the events. I talked about all of it.
How large is your attorney referral network that's coming into Cooper Hurley, if you can say?
How many referral partners do we have?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't know if I know that number. And I say that because I know my regulars, right? I know my top 50, but we get cases or intakes at random. Somebody moved today, somebody moved to the area. It's a few hundred.
Okay. I mean, that's really healthy.
Yeah. In our database, there are about 1,500 to 2,000 attorneys that are our friends, that we send our mailings to, our emails to, that we send events to. Most of them are here in Virginia, but a good chunk are, around the nation, because we try to have a referral partner in a good chunk of the states. Like, I want one in every state soon enough. But our surrounding states are the most important. But it's a few hundred, 253.
Yeah. That's really healthy. How many attorneys do y'all have?
11, 12.
Yeah, that's a really healthy network of referral partners for sure. I mean, and that alone, I imagine, with the program you put in place, is probably a decent chunk of the marketing budget. No, it's not.
No, marketing to
it's
humans.
Just the time. It's just the time and effort.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. So that we're talking about things that people don't understand about referral marketing. The resource needed is not money. The resource needed is time, right? It's difficult for me to spend my attorney marketing budget. It is. I created the line item so that I would spend it, and I still can't get there. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 in-person events.
Okay.
And we segment it. So like we host 2 CLEs. And then this year we created Counselor. It's a women's attorney networking group. They had their own 2 or 3 events. We had a webinar this morning with Virginia Lawyers Weekly. Sometimes we talk business marketing to other attorneys. Today, John Baker got on the webinar and talked about special cases. So motorcycle, bike, pedestrian, e-scooter, all of those things. But yeah, it's difficult to spend that money. It really is.
My brain immediately went to giving everybody on the team a certain amount of money and putting the onus on them you have to pick one referral partner and just do an absolute shock and awe from your perspective and see what that turns into, and give them the ability to do that. Have you ever tried anything like that?
I told them before. And see, they're not wrong. And this has to be talked about too when we're talking about referral marketing. And I've actually heard a speaker talk about this. She was talking about B2B marketing, and she was talking about B2B, and she was like, it's not marketing. She said it's relationships. And so if I went and bought my best friend a Movado watch, right? Like some really expensive gift, she'd be like, thank you, but what? Like, I mean, dinner would have been fine.
Yeah.
And so if it's a real relationship, do the concepts from giftology truly apply?
True.
And then the question is, was it a real relationship? Like, you know, there's pieces to this, but they felt awkward about buying some really extravagant gift. But we do gifts.
It's better for them to have in their head that, you know, when they need sponsors for their son's T-ball team, that you're going to be one of them, no questions asked.
Exactly. And we do it every single time.
And that's a relationship thing, right? Because you know you're not really asking when you just send it to them. You're like, yep, sign the check. Here you go.
Right. Exactly.
Switching over to the client referrals, which I love that lane, and trying to think of unique ways to stay in front of clients, and typically also pretty low cost because your database is only so big. It's not everybody, which is basically what MVA is. Everybody who can get injured, which is everybody, and everybody who drives, which is almost everybody. So tell me a little bit about your process to make sure that the client referrals are always taken care of.
You start asking for a referral at intake. That don't mean you're actually asking for it, but you start impressing your clients so much at intake that they don't have a choice but to refer. I told my director of client services that before. I want our clients, we call them ambassadors after they settle. I want them to almost feel obligated to refer because we're just so good to them. Not because we asked 100 times, right? We'll ask, sure, but we look to impress and over impress our clients so that when they become ambassadors and we put them in that hero seat, that the referral is there.
Is there any specific tracking in place that allows you to understand like the likelihood of once you settle a case, that client referring another case to you in the next 3 years or anything like that?
I'm trying to put this together. I shouldn't say this. We had another software system before this software system that wasn't great. I want to do point of origin referrals. Do you know what that is?
Tell me about it.
So I think I discovered when I was in real estate marketing. So basically, if is a $1 million client, congrats. And then Al refers Cassidy, right? And Cassidy's a $1 million client. And Cassidy refers Bob, and Bob's a $1 million client. And Bob refers Sally, and Sally's a $1 million. How much money did Al really help you make, right? And there's other mathematical pieces in there because what I want to know also is what window are you most likely to refer in? Is it while you're a client? Is it 3 years, like you just said, right after? Or what impacts that? Like what, is it just the recency of it? We've had people do testimonials and their case was 5 years old and they still cry talking about it. They still cry talking about how much we've helped them. Is it tied to severity of accident? Is it tied to the person, him or herself? They're just an influencer and they have a big COI. Like what are the real pieces in there? And I have a lot of assumptions, but the data is so dirty right now. I can't get to it like I want to.
And I think it's going to be very specific firm by firm because the likelihood, the likelihood window and where the drop offs are is going to be different for the billboard lawyer who has 200 billboards in your market and is on TV like crazy because they're ever present, right? They're always reminding even their clients that they're there without even doing a client reach out, right? Compound that with doing, email marketing to them, social media campaigns specifically to your clients, and other things. Like next thing you know, it doesn't really matter, how far along the journey that they were. The likelihood of the referral just increases across the board, and that's what I found with it. And I said 3 years because I do really believe in at least from a trackability standpoint. You have to cut it off at some point because it gets more and more and more convoluted the further out you get. And then also when I bring in a case right now, I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 10 years. I don't know where I'm going to be at. I'm going to know if I was in a car crash, right? So having that window of like realistic visibility, I think was very important for me. But I did always try to track, and again, it was hard. It was murky. Track by the source how likely that person was to refer someone in the future. So just as an example, lead generation, just bottom of the funnel, lead generation,
Where they came from.
unbranded it's probably going to be the lowest, but still it's something I want to factor in because I know it's going to be my most expensive cases to get. It's probably going to be my least valuable cases. But if it has a 20 additional lifetime value because of that referral rate, then I'm calculating that into my long-term projections. Easier to do for an established firm than a newer firm. A firm like Cooper Hurley, obviously, I think it's super advantageous to look at it from that perspective, because then you're looking at it not by the sheer ROI of something, but also the expected lifetime value and how you can put money back into the efforts because of that.
Right. So I want to back up because now I got to interview you. So you did this.
I go off on tangents all the time.
Yeah,
because I start thinking about my old world, right?
So you did this, and what impacted the likelihood of a referral outside of marketing original marketing channel?
Ask that again.
So let me get did you do this at your last firm?
We did it probably to a similar to what you're doing, right? Where you have all these projects and you're trying to juice the best out of them and all that. And there were that we would pull certain areas and figure out, okay, this marketing medium looks pretty bad right now, but is it as bad as it really shows? And then you dive into, hey, over the last 2 years, anybody who came in from that marketing source, how many referrals came from them? Okay,
right.
12% of those people. Okay, well, now I can add the average case value of my referrals to that at 12%. And it starts to look like it makes sense. And it also allows us to start identifying marketing platforms that we're okay with being more expensive, because it helps get backfill. Because the more referrals you get, whether that's attorney referrals or client referrals, the more you can spend on your marketing, because that makes up for that marketing cost. That marketing cost might not look so great when you do the one-to-one, but the fact that you now have 30% of your cases coming from client referrals because you started marketing 10 years ago, is something that just has to be factored into it. And that's what we would always try to calculate in there. It was never a perfect science, but close enough that allowed us to make strategic decisions.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And we were getting it tighter and tighter. But with those systems, they just take time.
Oh yeah, it's so much data. One thing we don't lack as law firms is data. We have so much data. What we do with them is up to us, but we have so much data. I really want to get into point of origin and lifetime value. I want to get into all of those a lot better, but
you're talking about all the data. How do you decide what's the most important data for you to track? Because that is, I think, for any in-house marketer, even agencies, is always a tricky thing to judge. And I know how much time I spent retooling dashboards and metrics and things that were most important to me over the years.
Why would you ask that? So one thing that I have let go of is that I can decide to track something, and then I can decide I am no longer tracking it. We can do that out. Did you know we could do that?
Yeah.
I didn't know I had that option for a while.
And it's fun to tell your team that too. They've been stressing over tracking this and building it out perfectly. And then one day you just have an epiphany. Yeah, this is taking too much time, resources, and the picture's too muddy anyway.
I don't need that part. And then I also have decided that I want to keep up with certain numbers, but I can look at them quarterly or semi-annually. And I don't have to look at them monthly. And for me, that helps a lot, because what is this last year or two? I mean, the impression gate, and there's so many, what's even happening in marketing right now? What's even happening? So I think I'm getting better at, okay, what are the outcomes? All right, what are the outcomes of this campaign, right? So we'll do attorney marketing, right? So obviously what we want are cases. Before we get cases, there has to be intakes. Okay, cool. What are the things that are needed to get there? And this, people would not identify this as a KPI, but I do believe in the age old, what gets measured gets managed. But how many gifts have we sent out this month? How many lunches have we done? How many events have we gone to? Right. And so those are the KPIs that I don't often see with law firms. You know, how many on the client side, how many client gifts were given out? Like, we want reviews, right? Like that's a KPI that we all have. If one of the firms listening right now says we're going to put in a client gifting campaign where, you know, firms do it different ways. You know, each employee has $100 to give to different clients in different ways. The team that gives the most gifts or gives the most consistently will always have the most reviews. Right? So we're really good at tracking the outcomes. I think I have gotten better at also tracking the steps needed to get there. That, you know, like, oh yeah, you know, we can't control how many gifts are sent out or whatever. Watch it and then start to make the connections. And then at the firm meeting, you can say, hey, Momo and Sky, stand up. You guys, they sent 7 gifts out this month, and they also had 11 reviews. Right. And then talk about the connection and talk about why that matters. And so deciding what to track is fluid.
100%. I'm a big proponent of review quotas for lawyers and or the legal team, the lawyer, the paralegal, all that. And there being repercussions if they're not at that quota. And now obviously that ends up having to come from the top down with ownership.
What type of repercussions?
You know, cases for a law firm that's been around for a while, it's marketed, and they know how to bring in cases. Cases are always coming through the door, and the attorneys don't necessarily have to do the work to get the cases in the door. They just get assigned the cases. So taking them out of rotation if they need to come out of rotation for cases, right? You do that, they'll get the reviews, but that can't come from the CMO,
the marketer, right?
That has to come. That has to be everybody has to be on board with that.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of that, because one thing that comes out of it is if you have 11 attorneys, right? There's going to be 1 or 2 attorneys that just kill it.
Right. Every time.
That do a good job. And then every month you're hopping on, every month or once a quarter, something like that. You're hopping on the calls and you're retraining everybody. And it's not just coming from marketing because they know how to create systems or reviews are important to them. It's actually a training from the attorneys that are doing it well and showing that there's no one right way to do it. But hey, what are the 3 nuggets that they're doing that are getting them a 90% conversion rate when they ask for a review versus you who's getting a 20%, and finding those things and seeing it actually play out, I think is a huge and eye-opening aspect. Because as I mentioned earlier, I'd rather have 11 attorneys or them and their teams trying to get reviews every day from all their cases than one person in the marketing department doing what I consider cold outreach, because they don't know the client. They weren't on their case. They don't have the relationship.
They don't like us. They don't know us. And you worked with them for 11 months.
We can implement systems, right? We can implement the review systems, and you can use that system, and it will make you do better. But there's no world in which I can go and get as many reviews as you can from your clients. And
it's 100%.
The training and bashing over the head with it, rewards or punishments for people who do good or don't do well with it is important, because, you know, ultimately what they say about how you treated them is the most important thing for your law firm.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
That's reputation, and reputation, especially in the personal injury space where these people's names and faces are out there. Reputation is everything.
Reputation is brand.
Yeah. Speaking of brand, how much brand marketing do y'all do?
Well, what do you consider brand marketing?
Yeah, that's why I asked it.
The big marketing debate.
I consider pretty much all marketing brand marketing, except for like unbranded lead gen.
Yeah, of course.
Until it reaches your intake. And then at that point, it's becoming brand marketing, because those conversations they're having are leaving impression on that person. It's becoming an entity, it's becoming a case. And you're marketing to that person for their lifetime now. But yeah, I consider kind of everything. But I would say let's remove client referrals and attorney referrals.
Advertising. Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to know what we do for advertising. Okay. We do TV, billboards. We do a lot of community marketing, and I roll community marketing into sponsorships, also owned giving, where we are doing a big campaign. Like we're about to give schools in our area $50,000. And then we do community partnerships. So minor league baseball, I need to sign that contract. Minor league hockey, local universities. Those are our TV and billboard are our biggest spends. No PPC. Just turn on ChatGPT ads and LSA. Well, we have LSAs, but just turn on ChatGPT ads. Got approved. Woo.
So I guess linking back to no PPC, where did that decision come from?
Now let me back up. We have branded PPC, so
Okay.
we protect our name. We're not that crazy. We cut it on and off every few years, and every time we cut it on, that cost per case, it just doesn't seem to make sense. I think that now with LSAs, it's doing a good job of scratching that itch for me, where I'm like, should we have this on? Should we have this on? There's branding in the PPC. It's just a lot of other pieces in there that aren't represented with the cost per case. But the clients didn't seem to be wonderful, is the word I will use today. Wonderful. Cost per case was high. It just didn't seem to do. And I see a lot of firms pulling out of PPC in the PI world, car accidents specifically. Now, when I coach attorneys or legal marketers, if they're in family, if they're in anything else, PPC is great.
Yeah.
If you're in anything else other than PI, it's great.
When it comes to MVA specifically,
yes,
it's becoming like you have to have some big strategy in the back end of it. Like you were mentioning that they're not always that great, right? A lot of that sometimes is the side effect of you're trying to be cautious with your budget, right? And so you're not always going to have the top of page impression share that you want, right? You're not going to have the highest click share, but because of that, you're now getting the people that are on their second, third, and fourth, and fifth click, and that already got rejected by other law firms or just were a mess to deal with, right? And so the cases, when you do take them, they're typically a little less valuable. Although it really does depend on the market. The budget is one of the biggest things. If you have the budget to really go all in on it, we're finding huge success with a lot of our clients, but it's because we're not getting throttled in certain areas that then lead to lower quality leads. But this is the Law Firm Brand Builders podcast, right? I'm a huge proponent of building the brand, getting it out there, putting a face to it, being on billboards. I ran 1,000 billboard campaign, I was internal as a big proponent of that and the way that they work, and TV broadcast, especially. A lot of people like to poo-poo on it. But if you run it right and know what you're doing, it continues to get the best reach and frequency of any of the video mediums.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
We run broadcasts. They part. My media buyer, every media buyer I talk to says the same thing. It's the best way to run TV. Let's debate. Let's argue for your podcast.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. We agree.
Let's end it on arguing that probably leads us to realizing we're saying the same thing. I
was going to say it, unless we agree. All right. So what you just said is a philosophy that I keep hearing. And because I am staying in my lane for once in my life, I'm saying I'm not a media buyer. I'm going to give my opinion. Okay. So the theories that I've heard, highest frequency, reach, etc. And then the one that I probably hate the most is if you are injured, you are at home watching TV. Okay. And you see the commercial. Now, let me tell you why I hate that. All right. So frequency and reach. Yes. But even though it is in our contract not to, we are always sandwiched between other law firms. Always, 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 always. I will be 100% honest. We don't have the most unique creative. None of us do locally. We could talk creative in branding another day, because that's another hill I'd like to argue about. I don't believe people get injured and sit at home. I believe you're going to go home and watch Hulu or streaming, or you're going to binge watch something. But I don't think we're at home watching The Price is Right anymore. And I do not look at TV as direct response for PI. I think that there are some instances where I look at TV as branding. And so we should show up where the people are using CTV to target, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I say all this, but I haven't put my dollars where my mouth is. So tell me why my philosophy is wrong.
It's, for me, it's all goal driven, right? But I'm going to look at it through the lens of, I'm a PI, particularly MVA law firm that's looking to grow my brand and become a market dominator, right? I want to be one of the top 3 names that people think of in the market. And with that, I'm looking at how can I reach as many people as possible, as cheaply as possible, with creative that is made intentionally to drive direct response where it makes sense and have a brand lift. So when I run the numbers, broadcast typically makes sense from that standpoint, because you can get CPMs under $5. You go to CTV, you get in CPMs of $15, $20, $25, $30.
They're rough.
And so CTV is more fragmented. I can't reach the ad-free people. I'm having to get on more platforms, and I'm not being guaranteed that I'm hitting the same people. With broadcasts, I'm getting that reach and frequency for, a quarter of the cost. And I'm hitting the same people in the same households over and over and over again. And by the way, the ones that have YouTube TV, Hulu Live, and other streaming services are still getting my broadcast insertion.
That part makes me shut up. Now, that part does make me shut up a little bit. That part is very important.
Another component of it for me, and again, I'm looking at it through that MVA PI dominator lens, because I'm a broad service that can apply to anybody at any random time of emergency.
Yes.
And so to do that, and especially to first focus on the direct response aspect of it, I need to be in front of people when they're more likely to take action. So that means I'm going to be in front of them Monday through Friday, daytime first, making sure I'm getting the appropriate reach and frequency that I want for my direct response messaging that, oh, by the way, has 4 or 5 different brand memory devices that I call them, to help you also remember the brand when you need them. But also that person who was in the wreck that needs to call, just like a social media ad, just like a CTV ad, it's a direct response component. And I've seen it work as direct response. And then I'm layering on the brand, what I call the brand building aspects of it. And I call it the brand building aspects because someone's not calling me during the football game. Someone's not calling me during the 6 a.m. news. But one thing broadcast is doing that CTV and these other platforms can't do is attaching me to the local and regional feel of the market. When you're on that local news, you can't insert there on CTV, right? You're inserting on that broadcast station, and those still carry a lot of the weight when it comes to pure brandability in a market. And you also get a lot of bonus and added value and relationships from them that are something that CTV can't mirror for you. I love CTV. I love it when it's used appropriately, and I use it for many of our clients.
Good.
But
I hear so many media buyers completely against it. I'm like,
it's just for MVA. It needs to be, for me, layered in at a certain point. Now, I say that, but I've also know people who use it more and have success with it. Right? I don't think there's not one way to do this, but when it comes to the pure building of the brand, that's one reason I'm a fan of broadcast, because when you compound all those things together, it's not any one thing about it. It then makes that impression on broadcast TV for a broad-based service 8 times more valuable for me. Compound that with, let me do a bunch of billboards in the market, have some direct response nature to them, but have a big brand ability to them. You do what I call brand moments on 10% of the boards in your market, or 10% of the time, whichever makes more sense, depending on the buy. And then now you also have your visibility in the market where you need it most, when people are in their vehicles and they're most likely to get injured in a wreck. That's why those 2 things still work very well for this particular space. And it's also why the big players, when they move into a market, they dump money into it because they know I'm going to be upside down this year, but in 3 years, even maybe year 2, like this is going to pay off and it's going to feel like I've been in the market forever because of how strong I went in year 1. And that's, I guess that's my argument.
I think that we as an industry are and I don't hate broadcast. I dislike day part broadcast. I'm not going to lie.
I used to not. 6 years ago, I was that marketer. I was like, why are we doing this so much? Why are we doing so much here?
There's so many like, when I ask media buyers, I'm like, hey, how often are you watching day part TV? Well, I'm not the client, and that's not true.
And the thing, and here's why I don't care about that question.
What?
And the most important finding I have from all of this is I know numerous law firms that have cut their broadcast TV budgets.
Yep.
And
I've heard that.
Every single one of them.
I've heard it.
Has lost somewhere between 30 and 40% of their cases coming in during that time. And that's also, for me, a clear indicator of the direct response aspect that it does provide as well. On top of the branding.
Because I've heard of firms cutting TV and going all in billboard. I feel like if it's replaced, now I still believe, I'm a marketing nerd, okay? There is nothing stronger than the visual and auditory signals that a TV commercial can give, right? You have billboard that's visual, you have radio as auditory, but with TV combining them, I believe that, right? But I've heard of firms cutting TV. Firms are cutting broadcast and claim to be doing just fine. I think that other platforms have a numbers problem. I don't know because, like, isn't it like when you look at Nielsen, they do for a family of 4, you do CTV, it's one person, or they don't know how. I think they have a brand. I think CTV has a branding problem. I don't know. It's more expensive. The industry is so fragmented, but I'm very interested in buying the consumer. So again, the philosophy, it doesn't make sense. And you can't say that it does. It doesn't make sense as to why broadcast works. It's just that I feel like the data is showing it. So we're there. And I'm just like, somebody jump, somebody do it. Like somebody
some
really
people
know
have,
what they're doing.
Some people, I'm going to speak to 2 things. One, what I referred to where I'm talking 4 or 5 different law firms that I've known, worked with, or worked at, that we made broadcast cuts, and the trend just followed it, right?
Yeah.
In some cases, made the cuts and replaced it with something else, and same thing. It still went down, trend didn't go up. Now, there are law firms out there that went all in on various digital components and do wholesale lead buying and do millions of dollars in PPC and more and more of that. And that's why I was talking a little bit about PPC working. A lot of times is scale. If you're going to do it at scale and you're going to adjust your operations so that you're willing to take any case that has a sniff of being taken, even minimum policy limits, then it makes sense. Most firms won't do that.
That's
now,
the part.
The firms that do it are thinking long-term. They're thinking lifetime value. They're thinking client referrals. And I live in Louisiana. Louisiana, the minimum policy limit is 15,000. That's a very small. I was about to say
10,000.
That's a very small case. But if you're a law firm thinking about the future, you're taking that case every time and working it and doing the best damn job that you can do because you want that client referral in the future. You want more boots on the ground. There are now your walking, talking billboards.
Right.
And that supplements your just big visual billboards. And if you do billboards, do it big. Either get a ton of them or do some crazy stuff on them. Be talked about and make them their own thing because you get more impressions because people are now going to talk about your billboards, right? They're going to be in the shower thinking about your billboard randomly. And it will. It's a funny thing to say, but they will. They're going to be taking pictures of them. They're going to be making videos about them on TikTok. And next thing you know, it's millions of free impressions because you did the marketing in a creative way. And when I say creative, it's not necessarily the creativity of the message. It could be the creativity of the media placement and how you did it. So. So I got a little jazzed up just talking about this.
No, this is what it's supposed to. I want to get some of my favorite intelligent marketers that have gone deep, right? A lot of us have breadth, but that have just done the work and argue about, because I have many hills that prove me wrong. I don't care. I don't care. I know our numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's at the end of the day, that's the most important part, right?
Right.
If you as the CMO or the CEO or whoever, COO at a law firm, know your numbers and you're happy with your numbers and they're trending correctly, then like, who cares what is the best thing to do? Because nobody knows what the best thing to do. Everybody just knows that their bottom line is doing pretty damn well right now with what they're doing, or it's not doing well with what they're doing. And a change needs to be made.
I'm glad I could get you jazzed up. I don't know how many podcast guests that you've had, but anybody else get you that excited? I don't think so. We're going to say no.
Thank you, Cassidy. I appreciate you. You're getting me excited to talk a little bit about a few things I know a little bit about.
Good.
But I don't know everything about those things either. And that's why I always like to have that disclaimer. You can do it a ton of different ways. This is how I've seen a lot of success. But I know some people who are absolutely killing it that are probably way smarter than me, that are running a massive law firm that I'm not running. So, just take me on my experience and my experience only.
Good stuff. I'm glad we didn't settle the debate, but I'm glad we had it.
And again, depends on the practice area for me. I have certain practice areas where all I want to do is social media.
Really?
Because
what?
it just has an outsized return. Mass torts.
Immigration.
I say only social media, but it's not. I mean, I like to do more than just, but there's some places where it's having outsized returns. Immigration is a good one.
Immigration's really good.
Mass torts. There's certain like really niche ones that like it's not a volume game. It's like that it works well just because you have to find that audience to create the demand, because they have no idea that they have a case going on.
Oh.
And I guess the last one, event-based. And when I say event-based, something catastrophic happened. There was a plant explosion. There was there was fraud at a certain place. Things like that. If you can be the first one to get that up and running in that market, because it's usually constricted to a certain radius, you're going to blow up.
Okay.
And I love using social media for that. Okay. Rapid fire. And then we're going to go. Biggest waste of money in most law firm marketing budgets right now.
Bad social media. Bad social media ads.
Bad social media. I love it. Okay.
Go look at if you run social media ads and you're unsure if they're working or not, but they're signing up cases. Go look at your close with no fee rate.
Close with a no fee rate. I like it.
Go look at your close with no fee rate. I'm here to make profit, not to sign up cases.
I like hearing that, because that's a lot of things that in the marketing department sometimes isn't tracked. It stays in ops and legal ops and all that.
Right.
Important to bring that back. How many dumps, how many no fees, all that. Okay, one metric every legal CMO should know cold.
I'm here to make money.
Hey, you should be tracking revenue. I also believe that.
What's caught up in web traffic and impressions and blah, blah, blah. How much money we make?
Yeah.
How much money? Yeah. I mean, obviously like cases and stuff, but money.
Yeah, I like that. I had websites that had 100,000 plus visits per month, but at the end of the day, I didn't care so much about that, because I was looking at the cases coming in the door and the revenue coming from it. And if that went in the right direction, then it's like, well, that's working good enough.
Right. I feel like I'm going to go to sleep tonight. I'm going to text you. You know what? Can I get back on? I have something else to say.
All right. Last one. What's true today that would have shocked you when you first started out in marketing?
What is true today that would have shocked me when I started in marketing? 80-20 rule when it applies to referrals. 20% of our cases being referred by attorneys can make up 80% of our revenue or something close to it. Didn't believe in my first year here.
Okay. Oh, and then last one, curiosity for me. What is the percentage of the intakes coming in that are referral based for you?
Q4 last year, we were at 50%. Wait, attorney and client?
Yeah, combined.
So Q4, we were at 50, like 50 plus. We're teetering around 40 something ish now.
Do you feel like that is a side effect of all the other marketing continuing to just kind of snowball a little bit, bring in more from those sources. And so
Oh, absolutely.
the percentage goes down, but not necessarily the number.
Well, the percentage goes up and the number goes up. So, when I got here, we were at 12%. And obviously we have more clients.
12% for referrals?
Yeah, 12% of our cases came from referrals.
Okay.
And now we're 47. I'm going to say 50. Can I?
Yeah, that's huge growth.
Yeah. But yeah, so a lot of the systems, all of the things, et cetera. But when Al refers Cooper Hurley Injury Lawyers and then Cassidy drives by the Cooper Hurley Injury Lawyers billboard, simpatico. They work together very well. So it's all of the marketing that is working together to increase the number of referrals.
Well, Cassidy, I appreciate this. I know people can find you at the CMO Academy, which you own and operate. I can find you there because I keep getting served your social media ads.
Oh, you should tell me how good they are. I haven't seen all of my marketing team, but you should tell me how great they are. Or
I literally got one this morning. I was like, oh, how timely.
Yes, they can find me there. Obviously, my day job, I'm the CMO of Cooper Hurley Injury Lawyers. You can always email me, find me on cmoacademy.com if you're interested in the program or just talking shop. I love talking shop.
Love it. Thanks, Cassidy.
Thank you so much, Al.